Hi, welcome to Your Leader Journey. This is Andrew. So today I want to talk to you about 9 strategies to help you improve your leadership. The first in this, and I want to share a quote with you. So President Harry S. Truman said, "A man who's influenced by the polls or is afraid to make decisions which make him unpopular is not a man to represent the welfare of the country." And I love this quote because I think what it reminds me of is leadership is not a popularity contest. If you deeply need to be liked and loved as a leader, it creates a real challenge for you because there are going to be some times when you have to make decisions and do things that not everyone's going to love or not everyone's going to like. And if you can't get past your need for affirmation and to be liked in order to make those hard decisions, it's going to put real difficulty and disconnect between who you need to be as a leader and how you're showing up as a leader. That for me comes down to just the idea that leadership can never be a popularity contest. The next issue is communicating early and often. And George Bernard Shaw said, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's taken place. And I lived this personally during a major change initiative at a company that I was leading a big division in. We were in the midst of a big change. I thought that I had communicated so well, had a whole comms plan, talked to people every day, had emails going out, had team meetings. And finally, someone came to me and said, "Hey, we don't get it. We hear the things you're saying, but we don't understand." And so it clicked for me at that point that even though I thought I was communicating uh, frequently enough and giving enough information, it simply wasn't. And I hadn't done a temperature check to know if the team actually thought that I was communicating and getting them the information that they needed. And so this idea that you've got to be, really over communicative, not just in change initiatives, but really in anything that's important for your organization and for your people. You've got to make sure that you are showing up early and often, being really clear, and then offering them an opportunity to ask questions, to give you feedback, and to clarify that they actually hear what it is you're saying. The next in this 9 is, and I'm going to share a quote from Brene Brown. She said, "Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are." And I think for leaders, authenticity is critical, right? It's interesting to me that oftentimes leaders think that they can hide who they really are from their people. And what I hear when I talk to employees from companies and organizations all over the world is, no, we know exactly who this person is. We're not sure they know because they show up and they try to put on airs and they try to, deflect and pretend this and that. But we know who they really are and we see who they really are. And so I think when that authenticity gap is created and exists, what it does is it diminishes trust of the team. And so they're always looking and saying, well, wait a minute, who's really going to show up today? Is it going to be the person that the leader says they are, or is it going to be the person that they typically are? And that causes a lot of friction in organizations. The next in this 9 is, if you don't care about people, maybe you shouldn't lead. And that that comes from a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Life's most urgent and persistent question is, what are you doing for others?" And the core to leadership, and I think that the most important thing that you need to think about as a leader, is your role is to develop other leaders. It's to develop people. So you're not just the person in charge. You're not just the person barking orders and dictating what happens. Yes, the work has to get done. But at the end of the day, a leader's greatest success is that they've built up a team of successful people who can go and do when they're not there. And if you're not focused on caring well for your people, you might be in the wrong role. The next one maybe is a little bit controversial for people. I've had a number of people balk at this idea, but Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook said, "Taking initiative pays off. It's hard to visualize someone as a leader if she's always waiting to be told what to do." And so, why that resonates with me is I have this concept of investing disproportionately in top performers. It doesn't mean that you don't invest in everyone on the team. It doesn't mean that you don't coach and guide and provide support for everyone. But what it does mean is, if there are incremental hours, if there are incremental dollars for training and development and coaching and things like that, I am less focused on trying to get someone who's struggling to get up to a successful level than I am in saying, hey, wait a minute, I have this person who is incredibly successful. If I pour into them more, they can be even more successful and take the entire team to new heights. So I think that, again, that issue sometimes rubs people the wrong way, but I think the idea of over investing in top performers because their lid is going to be significantly higher than others is real value to leaders. Next is a quote that comes from John Maxwell. And he said, a leader's attitude is caught by his or her followers more quickly than his or her actions. And I think that's really true, and for me, it comes down to this idea that like attitude is everything. If I show up as a leader and I'm grumpy and depressed and sad and somber, pretty soon my team's going to respond in kind, and I'm going to have a team full of Eeyores. And that's probably not healthy for our organization. It's not healthy for each individual person. It's ultimately not going to be healthy for your organization. So I think that part of the leader's responsibility is to show up well and to have an attitude of hope and grace and forward thinking. It's not to say that you can't have a bad day, right? We're all going to have a bad day at some point, but living in the bad day all the time and adapting an attitude of negativity and of sadness and hopelessness, that's not going to serve you well. If you are stuck in a place like that right now, I would encourage you to take stock of that, to talk to some folks, some friends. Maybe you have a counselor, a coach, someone that can help you, because to be successful and to lead successfully, you really do have to show up well, and attitude's a big part of that. The next in this series of ways to improve your leadership is this idea that you can't coach character. General Norman Schwarzkopf, who led the first invasion of Iraq back in the Gulf War in the 90s, said, the truth of the matter is that you always know the right thing to do. The hard part is doing it. And we face this a lot as leaders. We might have someone on our team who is not living up to expectations. And the determining factor in that is it a competency issue or is it a character issue? Because you can train for competence, you can train for skill, you can help someone develop, a core competency around one issue or another, finance, administration, whatever it might be. I cannot coach someone to be honest. I cannot coach someone not to be toxic. Those are things that are much more deep-seated in someone than a training issue. And so you need to know as a leader what the limitations are and what you can and can't coach, and how you make decisions for your business and for your team when you have someone on the team that has a character challenge and not a competence challenge. Next, I think it's really important to be honest, even when it hurts. And Warren Buffett said, honesty is an expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people. What I think the takeaway here is there are some leaders who only want to be honest if it doesn't hurt. And I'm not saying that you should be hurtful. I think, in fact, furthest from that. But sometimes you have to say things to people that hurt in the moment, but that actually help them in the long term. That could be a corrective conversation. It could be a coaching conversation. It could simply be saying, hey, you show up really poorly in this environment. And when you're stressed, this comes out and it's not good and it's not healthy. A lot of leaders might shy away from that because they're afraid of what that does to their relationship with that employee. But what they miss in that is, first of all, if the employee is coachable and willing, that conversation actually will help them be a better employee in the long term. And second, if you're not saying those things, you're actually harming the rest of the team by holding that back. And so it's really important to embrace kind of radical honesty, even to the point where it may cause some pain in the moment so that you can solve a bigger problem for the future. The next point here is really, and it's actually the last point, comes from Zig Ziglar. So Zig said, the core of true success is love, and that includes loving yourself enough to take care of yourself. I think a lot of leaders miss this idea of taking care of themselves because they think they've got to pour into everyone else. They've got to do for everyone else before they do for themselves. And they don't realize that refilling their own cup and taking care of themselves actually means that they'll be able to show up better for the rest of their team, show up better for their family, and really kind of be in it for the long haul. So I would just encourage you, as you think about this, it might feel like the thing to do as a leader to not take care of yourself, to put everyone else first. I actually think that's really dangerous because you won't be able to show up well. And I think that if you are taking care of yourself, if you're eating right, exercising, getting the right kind of sleep, limiting your alcohol intake, limiting the social media activity and things that might drain your brain, and really kind of getting rest and recharge, that's going to help you show up so much more effectively for your team and be able to lead much better. Hope you have a great day.